Well, hi there, everyone. Meteorologist Andrew DiPaolo here, filling in on the host desk for another edition of the Radar Podcast. Thanks for those that are watching. Thanks for those that are listening to this edition of the Radar. Of course, we all know that we've flipped the calendar to fall. It hasn't felt like fall up until now, 6-7 days into the month of October, and as we get going throughout the month of October, that autumnal fill will still be in the air. The big question is, with some cooler days and maybe some brighter days and some cooler nights, will that help bring out our otherwise pretty diluted foliage that we've seen up to this point? To answer that question, we've got our guest in today, Lynn Zocolo, one of the educators with Mill Creek Parks.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. You've joined me on the morning show before. We've gone out to Fellows Riverside Gardens. Always a great time when we're out there. We're talking foliage. So before we get to where in the park is a great spot to check out that foliage, let's talk about the science behind the foliage. What is it that helps bring out those great fall colors we know and love out of the leaves?
Well, if you want to start at the beginning, basically we know that the leaves are the food factories for the plants, trees included. So they are absorbing the sunlight and using that to transform the water that comes up from the roots, the carbon dioxide that comes in from the atmosphere to make sugars, to make food for the plant. Well, when it gets to fall, the trees have to go into planting mode for winter so that they survive. I mean, trees are just a magnificent piece of machinery for sure. So one of the things that uses the most energy in the trees is the leaves.
Okay.
The leaves. So it's time to get rid of them.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what's happening. So when we, as you mentioned, as we have the shorter daylights, but we still have some nice temperatures, but we have the longer nights and maybe cooler night temperatures, and the weather does play into it as well. That signals to the tree to let's go ahead and start kicking these guys off of here and stuff. So, you know, there is definitely science behind it with the photosynthesis, the petiole or the leaf stem, how it attaches to the branch of the tree. It forms an abscission zone, which hardens off those cells, and the nutrients can't flow back and forth anymore. So literally, the trees stop producing chlorophyll. That's the green stuff that we see in the leaves.
Right.
You know, and what I thought was kind of cool was all those bright colors we see, the beautiful reds, the yellows, you know, the oranges, they're already in the leaves, you know, but the green chlorophyll masks them. But when the tree stops making the chlorophyll, the colors start to shine through.
The colors come out.
Yeah.
And speaking of bringing those colors out, we were talking a little off camera. I was looking at a site called Explore Fall, which says we should have more moderate color here as we go over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks, even kind of see our peak here as we go late into October, early November. We did have a drought, though, locally. That was the big story into September and early October, even a severe drought down in Columbiana County. So does the dry conditions, I'll ask you this first question, does it play a factor into just the overall production of those great colors?
Yes, the short answer.
Yeah.
Yes. The trees are stressed. In addition to the drought conditions, and I live down in Columbiana County, but also the hot temperatures that we had. That whole puzzle pieces all fitting together definitely is affecting the fall colors. So some may not be as bright as what we have seen in the past years. And what I've observed is that some of the trees that we see some pop of color right now, to me those are the trees that are stressed. And the color seems to you get that little bit of orange or red or yellow, but then it seems like it goes brown.
Yeah.
You know, over our Lake Glacier at Mill Creek Metroparks, usually you see beautiful colors reflecting in the lake. It's just a gorgeous picture.
Yeah.
And last week I would tell you I saw color, but this week not so much. I'm seeing more brown.
Yeah, well, I know that we have some cooler nights coming up, and we've got some sunny days coming up too. So we can kind of cross our fingers over the course of the next 2-3 weeks that maybe that color will start to come out with some of these cooler days ahead. And of course, we've changed out of our summer summer weather, and we're now fully into the autumnal forecast all ahead. But the other thing I wanted to ask you was, at least where I live in Canfield, saw a lot of trees shedding leaves, during the summer months. That heat stress is something that a lot of people were commenting on, and not a lot of people have seen in years past. You kind of the leaves kind of dying out fairly early, not a sign of fall, but just sign of the heat stress.
It is, and they're trying to preserve energy. They want to keep on, being a tree for the rest of the season until we get to fall. But that one way they can save energy is to lose those leaves.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing more of it. So you might be raking leaves a little bit earlier than what you had anticipated.
Yeah, so our normal peak is what? It's usually early November-ish, late October, early November.
And when you talk to ODNR, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, some of them are saying we're in peak right now.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that,
Right.
but it's just from what I see going around here. I think in the past it's been around the 3rd or 4th week in October,
Right.
and it has even gone into November. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's when we see the major color.
Yeah, I know in years past I've raked leaves. My birthday's in late November. I've been raking leaves on my birthday, so I know that of course we get those leaves continuing to drop throughout the month of November. But let's cross our fingers and be optimistic. Let's say we do kind of manage to get some decent color. You've been with the park a bit of time, and where are some great places we can spot that color throughout the park?
Well, you're right. I have been with the park a long time, 23 years to be exact.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place, and I will tell you, I love my job.
Yeah.
So I get to come and visit with people like you, so that's cool. At the park, there are so many good places to come and visit and view the fall foliage. Fellows Riverside Gardens, the South Terrace overlooking Lake Glacier, beautiful with that reflection in the lake, gorgeous. The Parapet Bridge, which is on East Glacier Drive. There's a parking spot a little bit past it, but if you walk down, they have like little observation nooks built into the bridge. You look out over Lake Glacier again. It's beautiful. Can't forget the Cinderella Bridge, or the suspension bridge. It's just beautiful around there with the flats and everything. Also, even at the mill, Lanterman's Mill with the falls and everything, it is quite gorgeous. But even if you're out and about a little bit farther from what we call Mill Creek proper, right around here, is if you go out to the wildlife sanctuary out on Calla Road, maybe sign up for one of our birding classes with Jeff Harvey. The foliage is going to be beautiful out there.
Yeah, and the peace race, by the time this airs, the peace race will have already happened. And I've ran it in years past, and I know one of the kind of real distinct, noticeable things about the peace race people often comment on is at least some decent color in the trees running through Mill Creek Park. Going to be a little bit different this year, but we're kind of hoping for maybe at the end of the season some of that budding color to come out, make for some final push for some color.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so. Yeah, because we have some major programming coming up for the fall as well, and that fall color just makes everybody smile,
Right.
if you will. We're doing trolley tours still through into November.
Okay.
And actually, when the leaves start to come down, that's the best time to take a trolley tour because you can see more.
Right.
The scenic vistas open wide up, and you can really see what's in the park.
Right.
We do step-on tours for facilities like assisted living facilities or private care facilities. So I get on their bus. And then we take a drive through the park. We did one of that this morning for Copeland Oaks residents.
Okay.
And we have just a great time, and they're great and allow me to share the history and the stories of the park.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that here in a second. What I did want to ask you was the fall is always, year round you can, but the fall, a great time to kind of educate your young children about, or your students about why the leaves are changing. Everybody loves fall. Everybody loves the color and the leaves, and it's a good idea to kind of maybe tie in an education lesson for students or your young children. So maybe what are some suggestions on your end as an educator on how to do that?
Well, it's a perfect opportunity, to take advantage of. So, we do a lot of hikes in the park. So our educators are awesome about, sharing that kind of information with the people on the hikes. We do offer a number of children's programming. We have forest babies for our little ones, like your little one would be able to come. And then we also have Critter Tales, which is mostly about the animals in the park. But then I'm doing a class for first through third graders called Nature Explorers. And each month then we look at a different part of nature, and leaves is one of those.
Okay.
And we talk about the science behind it. We do experiments with leaves and such. It's a great learning opportunity. One of the ways too is we have a lot of school field trips that come to the park. So they're very busy at Ford Nature Center, at the Lanterman's Mill, and the farm. And in the farm, it's a great place to go out and see the fall colors and stuff. You're on the bikeway.
Sure.
You know, we're still doing tractor and wagon tours out there. Come out. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people kind of get a hold of you for all the information and for all the events coming up?
Well, I'm at Ford Nature Center.
Okay.
So they're welcome to call Ford, which is 330-740-7107. My extension's 175, but they can call there and just ask for any of the educators. Also online at millcreekmetroparks.org. Go to the tab that says Things to Do, Programs and Events, and we're right there.
Yeah, well, let's preview kind of the end of fall and into winter. What kind of events are coming up off the top of your head that you can kind of riddle off for us here, that we can expect out of the Metro Parks?
Well, we're doing some haunted programs.
Oh, okay.
So, and they've been very, very popular.
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit off camera some of the energy
interaction. Oh my gosh, yeah. So Haunted Mill goes through November 1st. It's every Saturday at Lanterman's Mill. We do 2 sessions for 2 hours. And we have had some awesome interaction with the spirit energy there. It's definitely haunted, but nothing evil, nothing
bring
scary.
Out like a paranormal expert? How does that work?
We do. We work with the Collective Paranormal Research Society, located out of Youngstown here. We've been working with them for 3 years now, and they're a wonderful team. Eric Williamson is their founder and lead investigator, I guess. And they have all the fancy schmancy equipment. We do have our own equipment, and but we have just had simple things. I've mentioned to you that, like a little bell, ding.
Yeah.
We've had that go off many times and answer to questions, and I mean I still get excited over it and such, and we've caught EVPs, which are electronic voice phenomena. I'll play one for you later on.
Okay.
But we've had great success. Now, we didn't want to let Halloween night pass us up because it is a Friday night, so we've decided. We must be crazy, but we decided to do a very, very late night investigation at the mill from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh, wow. And that's Halloween night.
Halloween night.
Is that still available for people to sign up for?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And so we will be at the mill when the veil is at the thinnest between the living and the next world, you know, and it'll include a night hike and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's something a little different for us, but we wanted to go ahead and try it. But throughout the month, we have our full moon hikes. Our other educators are doing other programming as well. They can come and stop at Ford and pick up a listing of all the programming for what we call fourth quarter. So it would be now through the end of December.
Yeah. You guys always have something going on.
We do.
Great events that really kind of immerse us in the Metro Parks, and take us out if we want to go for a hike and check out some of that foliage. But once again, just to kind of recap, of course, the drought this year and the warmer air that we had, as late as early October. We had a span of 3 80-degree days in a row. Really played a role in kind of at least setting us back for that foliage. This time of the year, we probably should be noticing at least some yellows or maybe even some reds starting to pop.
I agree.
Kind of not seeing that, even just kind of looking out our window here at our downtown Youngstown studios. You see some yellow, but it's more of like a light green for the most part across the area.
It really is. It's like the chlorophyll is just slowly starting to fade. So, but I think, like you mentioned, with the shorter daylight hours, the longer night hours, but the cooler temperatures. We don't want so much a frost yet. Please don't do that yet. But it makes a big difference on how fast we will see these colors appear.
Yeah, we're really going to cross our fingers that we've got at least some sort of a foliage coming up here. We can kind of take advantage of walking through the park and checking out that all of that great foliage, or a run too if you're a runner. For all of those great events coming up through Mill Creek Metroparks, you want to definitely call Lynn over at Ford Nature Center and ask her all about that, how to get your students involved, how to get your group involved with some of those great events. Lynn, thank you so much for coming into our downtown Youngstown studio.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Another edition of the Radar. We'll cross our fingers and hope for some better foliage here coming up. And of course, you can watch or listen to all of our podcasts wherever you find your podcast. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of the Radar Podcast. I'm meteorologist Andrew DiPaolo. Have a good one.